Off top, I think I work with sociopaths. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
All right, welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show, presented by Allstate. I mean, we had a whole show rundown plan. We can get to it, but we had an argument headed into the show in the green room or the hangout room, wherever we watch the games. And I can't believe that you guys. Go ahead, defend yourself.
Okay, we have a lot of football to come. We're gonna talk to Bill Barnwell. We're gonna continue our trend of judging our overreactions from the previous weeks, and we will be judging this one where Domonique Foxworth called me a sociopath, because that is a massive overreaction. Not just you,
it's a gang of y'all.
Yeah, so I walk into the green room and feathers have been ruffled already, and Domonique goes, "Do you feel bad for Russell Wilson?" And I looked to my left, I looked to my right, I was like, "No." And then he looked at me, he goes, "You're a maniac."
You're a maniac.
Explain to me why I should. Just because the Dolphins beat the brakes off the Broncos, I have to feel bad for Russell Wilson.
You don't have to. You don't. It's okay. No, but let me frame this the way
I'm not piling on him. I just don't feel bad for him.
Frame this the way that it was framed. Serafina said, "Oh, I feel bad for Russell," and then
which I was not there for.
Yeah, you
weren't
wasn't
here for any of this.
And your partner Brian's like, "I feel bad for him. He got so much money." It's like, "Oh, here we go. Now people who have some money can't have anything go wrong." And then started talking about orphans and who cares? The point is, this is a man who, yes, has a lot of money, has had a lot of success, but is now having public failure.
This happens to everyone.
Failure, and I feel bad for them. What is wrong with having sympathy for someone who has something go wrong for them?
I'm just not going to bed at night, laying my head on the pillow, looking up at the ceiling, being like, I feel bad for Russell Wilson because his defense gave up 70 points.
Of course not. I'm not going to lose any sleep tonight either. But when you are looking up at the screen at someone who is losing by 50 points after being traded to a team, and we all made a big hoopla about it, having a terrible season, you cannot imagine, or you have to understand that there is no amount of money that can make that moment feel better.
Never said it was about the money.
Okay, well, you are on the team. You're on money team. What's it about for you?
He made a lot of hilariously weird TikToks, and they're fun to make fun of. And then I wasn't allowed to make fun of his TikToks anymore, so now I don't feel bad for him either. He's just sort of there. He's a blah 20th best quarterback, 24th best quarterback in the NFL. I don't spend my time thinking about the 24th best quarterback in the NFL.
Yes, you do. You do because he's Russell Wilson. And if it was the 24th best quarterback in the NFL, it would be different. He is a actual real life celebrity that transcends football.
He's going to the Hall of Fame. He's married to Sierra. I don't feel bad for him.
None of that changes anything in this moment. None of it changes. Okay. And I'm not asking you to start a GoFundMe for him.
I feel bad for you.
I'm not asking you to start a GoFundMe for him. I'm not saying that you have to feel terrible for him and lose sleep and cry. I'm just saying that when we are sitting watching a game, you look up at the screen, you and your compatriots, I don't know how you can look at someone who is very publicly struggling and knows that no amount of money can take that away and not be like, damn, sucks for him. That's all I want from you. Damn, sucks for him. Is at the root of this is the fact that lots of fans and people like you just have hate in your blood, just hater blood, because you weren't good enough athletes, and so eventually, somewhere down the line, you just want some way to look at a athlete who's better than you and more successful than you and say, oh, that's what you get, loser.
You know this, that Russ gave us 405 touchdowns in high school.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was actually a stark moment. Yeah, he is built different than me. I was not good enough.
So you've been waiting all this time to pile on
No,
Russ.
the other way. I was like, you know the thing when you don't know this because you weren't like a total fucking loser like me. But like when you play someone who's great at something, the better they are, the better the story is. I rooted for Russell for years, but then I was shamed out of making fun of his TikToks, and so I just stopped thinking about it at all.
Okay, well, no one shamed you out of making fun of his TikToks. I'm just saying that
I got shamed.
Okay, whatever.
You shamed me.
So is there anybody with money or with any success that you can have? Let's go with football players. Is there anybody in the league right now after this weekend?
I feel bad for Justin Fields.
There we go. Thank you. Good job. That's growth for you.
Did you feel bad for Nathan Peterman when he was getting mocked by everyone?
Yes.
Hell no, you didn't.
Why not? It sucks. It sucks. I felt bad for him. That doesn't mean I can't also chuckle at the jokes. They're funny jokes. But yeah, it sucks. Imagine that you are on a national stage and you are having the worst day of your life. There is no amount of money at your home or relationship that is going to make that not suck. Those are in separate silos. The money silo, yeah, you look at your bank account, you feel good. But the personal pride silo, that is not going to change. You go out to the grocery store and you look around and you know that everyone's looking at you.
Harping on the money thing. I'm not talking about his contract. It's the macro thing of it. Like, as a fan, I look at him, and Russell Wilson is not a failure. He's just a quarterback getting old, and it happens to all of them, and I don't feel bad for him.
I do. And so is there anyone who's had any success in life, if something goes wrong, you're saying he's not a failure. Your point is that
the problem is that, like, the hay is in the barn for this, where it isn't in other things. Like, when there's implications of things going wrong in other aspects of, like, now we're getting totally off track. Like, it can bankrupt everything. Like, the hay's in the barn. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
He's won a Super Bowl.
That's my point. That's my point. None of that matters.
It does.
In the moment. I feel bad for him, not for his life.
Why do you feel bad for him?
I feel bad when in the moment you are having to stand there and there's a camera on you while you're getting blown out by a team, a second year where you seem like a failure, where you're getting paid more than your production
supports. I don't think people are blaming him for it.
What?
I don't think people are blaming Russell Wilson for why the Broncos are bad this year.
This one game, yeah, he's been playing this year. He's been playing better this year. They stink. He does not feel good about that. That's all. And I'm not asking you to lose sleep or cry. Just look up and be like, damn, that sucks. I feel bad for him. Move on. That's it. For you to be like, I don't care. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. None of that changes what's happening in the moment. None of that changes how bad it feels in that moment for him.
Softens it. Man, the money, the Sierra, the Hall of Fame. It softens it. He goes home and he's probably like,
you think that LeBron really meant it after he lost the finals and said, well, I get to go home and still be LeBron. No, it's a defense mechanism because it actually hurts like That's all. It softens it. Yeah, it would be really sucked if he had to go home to a one-bedroom apartment and was on food stamps. That would make it a lot worse. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt right now.
Actually, I won't say that joke. You can cut it, but I was going to say.
Yeah, definitely cut that joke. All right, we're done. We spent way too much time talking about this, so let's get to our overreactions and recap them.
We're going to circle back to that overreaction in future weeks, but okay.
I still love you.
I love you too.
No,
yeah, I do.
No, I made too much money. I had too much success.
Oh my God.
I got a show named after me. You can never have love or affection for me. Anyway.
Now I'm going to be like lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling bad for what I did to our relationship. But let's go to judging overreactions. Okay. Same game as last week. Every week we react to the slate, and we're sort of keeping track of the things we got right and got wrong. This is one from the last 2 weeks. The Dolphins' offense is unstoppable.
Oh, feeling good about that one.
Nailed it.
Good about that one. I think we didn't go out on a ledge on that, but we were before they completely did what they did this week. The thing that jumps out to me, we can all talk about Tyreek Hill and the ability to somehow scheme him open and Tua's accuracy. I think these are continuing conversation points when we talk about how effective this offense is. The one thing that I was impressed with that's a little unique is the scheming of the running game. Yeah. To create the blocking matchups on the edge that they created, to free up the Mostert and A-Chain, like to free them up to exhibit their speed, I thought was special and impressive. And as wide open as this offense is, it's very connected to, like, the success of the running game, of course, is connected to the threat of the passing game. These boxes feel a little light and the secondary feels a little scared.
So when the Dolphins are going to be the story this week, and they scored 69 points, the stats are 70 points. Yeah. The stats are outrageous. 726 yards, 10 touchdowns, 376 passing yards, 250 rushing yards. Tua was perfect in the first half. Tua is now the betting favorite for MVP, or he was tied for the betting favorite going into this week. I feel confident he will be the clear favorite coming out of this week. But I don't know if that's necessarily the story of the team. He's clearly excellent at his role, and Tyreek is probably the best offensive player in the NFL, not named Mahomes. And McDaniel seems like the heir to Sean McVay, like the offensive. There was a mantle taken, him taking Sean Payton's mantle as the offensive genius. Who in your mind, not that you have to choose one, but like is most responsible for the way that this offense is?
Yeah, this is an impossible question to ask. I think I would opt out of the Tua versus McDaniels question and go with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I think that
Tua and McDaniels are like a mind meld.
Yeah, it feels like, and Tua's accuracy and anticipation, I think gets underappreciated. It feels like it's getting celebrated a lot more now. But these throws are not easy. All the throws are not easy. The consistency to put it in the right spot is not easy. You talk about Tyreek Hill making big plays. It's really easy to make a big play when you catch it in stride. And it seems like he always does catch it in stride and change direction to scores. But I will say that I think the most difficult thing to find of any of these three is a player like Tyreek Hill. I think the offensive mastermind that is Mike McDaniel, everybody gets caught up to. That's not something that's replicable. You can't every week outcoach your opponent. It's not going to happen. Eventually that'll be caught. The Tua stuff, yeah, I think that's also hard to find, but he hasn't had the success until Mike McDaniel's here. I think the evidence that Tyreek Hill has had at a couple different places and what he does to defenses, even without Jalen Waddle out there, that to me feels like, if I had to pick one thing that feels like the linchpin in all of this, it has to be Tyreek Hill.
This team is so crazy. It's a greatest show on turf level how far ahead they are of the competition, because they didn't have Jalen Waddle this week, and they're like, all right, we'll just play A-Chain and Mostert at the same time and just have two guys who run 4.28s, 4.3s out there with Tyreek Hill and just annihilate people.
And the way that I look at their offense is, it's not. The schemes are smart. They get advantages, but it's not like they just got people running wide open. The point is, very most simplified, is they are going to get their best athletes in an advantageous position. And chances are they do that 10 times, 1 or 2 of those times it's going to break. Today, it broke every time. And when it breaks every time, it's fun. You are tested. You're running out of touchdown dances to do. You're jumping in the stands. You're doing a conga line.
I love the conga line.
It is so, I mean, I guess technically it wasn't a conga line. I don't know what it was. It was pretty fun. I don't know what they're calling it.
Conga derivative.
When you see a game like that, that is fun. When you're looking around, you're like, we can do nothing wrong. The backups come in, they scoring touchdowns. You're getting turnovers where you don't even necessarily deserve them. It's like when the luck and the talent and the timing all mesh, it's a fun time for everybody who's not on the other side.
Toughest part about this is, Acho celebration.
Well, I mean, Herbert played well too.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not wrong.
Really starting to feel bad for all of us because of it.
We'll get over it.
Do you view them as the best team in the AFC?
Yeah.
Best team in the league?
Yeah.
Them and the 49ers. Gotta be that.
What are we gonna do with the Cowboys now? We can't conclude them in that conversation. So I think the Cowboys were my favorite last week for best in the league. When you beat an NFL team by 50 points with talent and a good coach, you have to give them some respect.
Do you remember the point in the 30 for 30 about the U when Jimmy Johnson was like, I put in the backups and they kept scoring? That happened in the NFL game today.
It's not supposed to happen. And it's funny to go from that. What are we going to do next? We're going to do the Cowboys next?
Well, first I want to ask you one thing about Sean Payton.
Okay.
Because the other side of this coin is Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, but more really the Broncos. And the Sean Payton part is interesting to me because things look to be falling apart there. He signed for 10 years, and he was sort of the hottest name in coaching to get any job he wanted.
Right.
Who's regretting their partnership more, the Broncos or Sean Payton?
Has to be Sean Payton, right? I mean, I think maybe no one was willing to pay him nearly as much as the Broncos were, but
Brandon Staley kept his job.
Yeah, but he could have had his choice. It feels like he was the guy that everybody wanted. And at least up until now, the money's not going to go anywhere, which we know that's all that matters. But he's lost that. He's lost that cachet. Even with some improvement from Russ. So Russ is playing better, and he can take credit for that. But I guess was Evero, the defensive coordinator from last year, guess he was holding this thing together because this defense was the reason to believe in them. They are terrible.
It's so wild that this offense took legitimately 2 steps forward this year, and then the defense took 10 steps back.
Yeah, and the steps forward don't matter
when
you can't stop 70. Anybody. 70, there is not enough steps to catch up to 70 points in an NFL game.
The next one, this is a 2-parter. The first one was the take that the Cowboys are the best team in the NFL that we had as an overreaction a take from last week. And the second part is the Cardinals are immoral scum for tanking.
Yeah. I got to stop calling people out for tanking because I've been wrong twice. And I think it's hard to come off of that last game to go to this game because the way that I would explain a game like this is like everybody's in NFL, everybody's professionals. The margin of victory is always incredibly slim, even from the worst team to the best team because everyone is really, really good, even the bad players. But somebody just got beat by 50, so apparently that's not the case. And the good teams are supposed to win games like this, games that they're supposed to win, even on the road. And so, it's hard to celebrate the Cowboys as the best team in football or one of the best teams in football when they have all these errors. McCarthy's going to get the criticism that he's been avoiding up until this point. And it's hard for me to continue to bemoan the tanking of the Cardinals when they've been competitive in every game and they beat the team that I said was the best team in football. Yeah. So I will wiggle out of this by saying the organization is tanking, but the pride of the players and coaches.
Can I tell you something I think we learned?
What's that?
The Eagles had really good coordinators last year. No, I'm serious because like Shane Steichen is cooking up some serious stuff in Indianapolis, and Gannon. I know they blew a 28-point lead to the Giants. I get it. It's not like they have a dominant defense, but the defense in spurts has played well in each of the 3 weeks, and he was considered sort of a weak link as a coordinator.
You know what else I learned? That it's really good to like before your first game as a head coach have some embarrassing video out there.
Sirianni style.
Yeah, Sirianni, we was like, oh, there's no way this is going to work out in Philadelphia because he looks nervous at his press conference. Super Bowl, or at least got to it. Yeah. Same thing with Gannon had that video in the preseason where he was like, did you drive in on the bus or something? Did you have a fire in your belly? And they put it out there. We all laughed at it. And apparently it's working out pretty good. And we got the kneecap biter. That was embarrassing also, and they turned out to be pretty good.
One counterpoint to this argument, Adam Gase didn't really overcome the introductory press conference when he was looking around for the taco.
That's fair. All right, so maybe you don't want a coach to ruin the introductory press conference. I assume D'Amico Ryans was cool as hell in his press conference.
Definitely. Yeah. Impressive. That team also frisky.
Locked in.
Risky. Last one. This was me and Gojo, we both said we didn't actually think Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were dating.
Yeah. I don't know that you need to take a L on that one.
You don't think so?
This all feels contrived to me. Like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it feels contrived. Not that Taylor Swift needs any more attention, but she is dominating a football Sunday. That's a win for her. Travis Kelce.
That's impossible.
Yeah, like
it'd be the story of an NFL Sunday.
She's a big story NFL Sunday. Travis Kelce obviously benefits from this in many ways. The NFL benefits from this in many ways. It feels kind of fraudulent to me.
It's now that you're putting it together. She turned down performing at the Super Bowl and then just said, "I'll take any Sunday I want."
Exactly. She just dunked on and was like, "I'll just take one of your mustachioed players." And yeah, Travis. I guess the mustache, you need to shave. The mustache is the move.
Next week, I'll have a mustache for this show.
You promise?
Yeah.
There go all of the snack puns because there's no way that you're going to be as cute with a mustache and no
just
beard.
Like really weird. That little blonde mustache.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I shouldn't hate on him. Maybe it's young love. Maybe they'll figure it out. Nothing about Travis Kelce's general demeanor suggests that Taylor Swift would be interested, and nothing about Travis Kelce's history suggests that he'd be interested in Taylor Swift. But opposites attract, I guess.
Shocking to me, too.
All right. Well, you are the only Swiftie here, so you would know better than me.
Yeah. Should we talk to Bill Barnwell?
Not yet. I just thought of another overreaction that we needed to address. Eric Bieniemy, really great.
Yeah.
We're going to blame Sam Howell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I from the Commanders delegation, growing pains for Sam Howell.
All right, cool. Let's blame Sam Howell and let's talk to Bill Barnwell. And now, the great Bill Barnwell joins us. Charlie, I got Bill's here.
I'm so excited to have Bill here to be the deciding vote in our debate because
there is no deciding vote.
We're going to get to a lot of
There's no
Sunday
deciding
football stuff.
Vote.
Yes, it is.
It's already decided.
No. You're being a coward right now.
I'm not being a coward.
Afraid that he's going to take my side.
I don't care is the point I'm making.
Yes, you do.
I know what side is the right side, the side that I will remain on. I don't care what Bill says.
Okay.
I hope he says the right answer, though.
That's very promising.
You're just pandering.
Pandering to whom?
You're just trying to be so overly sympathetic.
Just ask the question.
After today, because of the loss today, do you feel bad for Russell Wilson?
Stumped him. It's the hardest question you'll be asked all day. What are you looking at? Is that Jesus? Who's over there?
I have a shrine to Russell Wilson on my wall, so I'm trying to figure out which of my posters I should consult. No, because it's not really his fault. They lost that game. They gave up 70 points. He's not a nose tackle. He's not a linebacker. He's not a quarterback. Like, he didn't play great, but it wasn't like in that locker room they sat there and they were like, screw us. He cost us that game.
It's fine. I respect and appreciate your answer. Moving on.
Domonique is he's not sleeping tonight. He's staring at the ceiling.
Okay.
Just thinking about Russ and how I feel so bad
in
for
all
that
honesty,
guy tonight.
you had a better response than this maniac over here. I'm not going to put him on blast. Well, he's already put himself. He's already been recorded saying ridiculous things. So please proceed.
Let's talk about let's go to some more football topics. First one, we're on some fraud watch with teams that we thought were going to be really good this year and might turn out to be good in the future. But to you guys, who's the more fraudulent contender, the Ravens or the Jaguars?
Definitely the Jaguars to me. Given if we're going off of what we've seen so far this season, I think there are lots of injury excuses you can have for the Ravens, and you can point to at least a reasonably good win in Cincinnati last week and a tough loss to a Colts team that we didn't think was that good. So there's certainly reason to be critical, but what just happened to the Jaguars against the Houston Texans, a team that the Ravens beat, where they got so bad that they let a square body tight end, or not tight end, fullback, excuse me. I didn't even know we still let them in the league. A fullback run back a kickoff for a touchdown, like on top of the fact that they lost by 20 points to a team that nobody thinks is good and a rookie quarterback. Like, if anybody we can call a fraud, I'm not sure that either of these teams actually are, but it's certainly got to be the Jaguars right now.
Dominique, you're mad that the square block from Tetris scored a touchdown.
I hate it.
In this game. You're strictly those Lions. You're not absolutely.
I mean,
more NFL touchdowns than Domonique Foxworth.
Fair. And Terrell Suggs blocking the back cost me more one touchdown.
Oh.
Don't tell Sizzle I said that.
No,
I think he's going in the Ring of Fame, Ring of Honor. I got an invitation. I'm not going because I'm here with you guys. And because I hold a grudge, my one touchdown. Jeez, Sizzle. Anyway, go ahead.
Sizzle to you.
He says to you, please respect the man. Dominique is right, but I don't know that it matters because when you look at these two teams, the Ravens have to be better than the Jaguars. They have a higher level of competition to beat. The Jaguars just have to win 9 games. That probably gets them first place in the division. The Ravens have to win 11 games probably to win the AFC North. So I agree the Jaguars look worse this year, but they don't have to be as good as Ravens. They just have to be better than the worst team in their division. And today, to be frank, they look worse than the team we expect to be the worst team in their division. But there's some weird, there's some weird AFC South divisional stuff that happens. Like, wherever the worst team in the AFC South is, they invariably beat the team that eventually wins the division. Like a couple years ago, when the Colts had Phillip Rivers, they lost in week 1 to the Jags, and then the Jags didn't win a single game the rest of the year. Like, weird stuff happens when you get the top of the AFC South against the bottom of the AFC South. So I wasn't surprised by what happened today.
On a pretty wild Sunday, I think the craziest thing that we've seen that is not getting much love is Justin Tucker lost a kicker battle. Yeah. Like, I can't imagine. He had a 61-yarder lined up, and we all thought it was going in before they even lined up because, of course, it's Justin Tucker. And then it's headed right down the pipe, and it just falls short. And to have someone on the field kick 4 50-plus yard field goals on your field when you are the kicking god, like, that's something that's as crazy as anything we saw this weekend.
Do you ever think when you see kickers line up and they're on the logo that it's going to make them miss? I heard that on a broadcast like years ago, and it's convinced me that was the difference in that kick, because it's like
a slippery thing or like a jinx.
Because of the paint on the grass.
Yeah, well, it worked today. I've never thought of that before in my life.
Tucker was 31 of 33 in the final 2 minutes of the game or overtime on kicks before missing today. It really hit me hard. I'm not going to lie. Like it was I'm getting old, maybe really old moment, because I feel like Justin Tucker should not be missing kicks at this point of his career. Like it's one kick. He's probably going to be fine, but that's like one of the few things you can take for granted in the National Football League.
Yeah, and I mean, he missed it in
really
a way that you rarely see kicks missed either. Like, it's not to one side or the other.
Yeah.
It came up short. It was a little weird. I don't know. It's a bit of a rainstorm out there. I think we can excuse Justin Tucker, but we can't really excuse the Ravens, because this is a game that they should have won against a backup quarterback at home that they gave up. That's one that's going to probably come back to haunt them late in the season, whether it's for winning the division or getting a first-round bye. That's a game that you can't give up.
Yeah, I'm really starting to feel bad for the Ravens.
Here we go.
And they're down. They were down 7 starters in this game.
Yeah.
Like, maybe the one positive you could take away is I don't think they lost anybody else who seems like they're going to be down for a significant injury. But I mean, this does not bode well, right? Like the fact that they're already so banged up in September seems troubling for what's going to happen later in the year.
Isn't that the Ravens, though? Like, the Ravens are always like banged up.
I feel like this is crazy even for the Ravens. You want me to list their current injuries? Because it's
please
J.K. Dobbins, Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, Keaton Mitchell, Odell Beckham Jr., Rashad Bateman, Tylan Wallace, Tyler Lindenbaum, Andrew Voorhees, Ronnie Stanley. And then on the defense, it's Marlon Humphreys, Demarion Williams, Trayvon Mullen, Marcus Williams, Sedarius Washington, and then on and on and on. But those are the notable ones.
No love for Nick Moore, the long snapper?
I skipped the long
that
snapper.
That might be part of the timing was off for the kick. It was a little high. Get it down.
I'm really starting to feel bad for Justin Tucker. He didn't have his long snapper out there.
I'm not going to play this game with you anymore.
So I want to ask about the Jaguars a tiny bit. So we're sending them to London for a couple of weeks, as we do every year. But there's a Trevor Lawrence aspect to this, because this is year 3, and after the 4-touchdown comeback in the playoffs last year, I think a lot of people had him as an MVP candidate. You know, if not that, like a huge leap year. And it is sort of disappointing that this team we thought was going to roll the division, he hasn't looked awesome.
I mean, and Calvin Ridley, we saw early on, I guess in week 1.
Yeah, it looked awesome.
We got excited about it. So, yeah, it's been slightly disappointing. But that's the thing about football is it's such a small sample size. The ups and downs matter a lot. Basketball, we'd have 2 days to wait.
Yeah.
Then he'd have a good game tomorrow. And we'd be like, oh, it's all okay. But now we got a whole week to talk about how he's not living up to it and not that many games left. So, yeah, I don't know. To be completely honest with you, we haven't had time to watch all the coaches' copies of it. The numbers look pretty bad. Oh, you have. Excuse me. Then I'll be quiet. All right, break it down.
I watched all the All-22. No, I didn't, but I have paid attention to what fans are saying. And there's like a cycle that comes into play when you have a disappointing quarterback. And they're in like phase 2 right now. And phase 2 is, we blame the offensive coordinator. He's terrible. We got to get rid of him. That's where Jags fans are at right now. They're not blaming Trevor. They're not blaming the receivers, because they added Calvin Ridley, who you think was going to be a major upgrade, kind of push everyone into a more realistic role. But now that Trevor Lawrence is struggling, it's Press Taylor's fault. And if he struggles, it's going to be Doug Peterson's fault soon. Like we're slowly working our way down that cycle to Trevor Lawrence is like step 17 in that cycle, but we're at step 2 or 3 right now.
That's an interesting theory, because I feel like the path is different depending on the player too. And Trevor Lawrence has enough cachet that he's protected. I don't know how it's working out in Chicago right now. I think they're blaming the whole building, top to bottom, everybody's fault.
Yeah, and to be fair, Lawrence has been better than Fields.
No, I know. I'm not talking about those two versus each other. I'm talking about this process of quarterback grieving that you go through and blaming the blame ladder. Like I was trying to think about it. It's something that has some legs. We need to figure this out and to find out where you are in this process. Now I just want to talk about all the teams and where they are in this process.
See, to be like a fan's guy, you have to have the flashes, and then you can blame everyone else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think any differently about Trevor Lawrence than you did from the start of the season?
No.
But you're getting a little worried though, aren't you?
I mean, where's the O-line in this? They also get blamed before you get
Harrison struggles
to the coordinator. And the way that they played in this game, at least the pass rush win rate for them, or pass block win rate, is atrocious. I think it was at 18 last time I checked before any corrections. That's not good. 18% of the time they protect the quarterback. That's pretty terrible. Yeah. You can't win with that. So before we get to the coordinator, we got to blame the O-line.
Suspension. Cam Robinson coming back after week 4. So that's what we can
True.
push it off until then.
That's true. You got that suspension. If the NFL just hadn't suspended our dude, we'd be fine. The NFL's biased against us. That's step one.
Being a fan
Institutional bias against our
sounds
quarterback.
miserable.
They're sending us to London for 2 weeks. It's not fair.
They aren't sending them.
You
They
know what,
want to go
though?
to London.
You know what, though? Number one, they want to go to London. London's great. Number two, after Trevor Lawrence came back from London last year, he got hot. So maybe there's something in London that gets Trevor Lawrence going. Maybe he comes back from London and he starts getting Trevor Lawrence of last year.
I mean, it's tea, it's fish and chips. Like, I can think of all the London cliches I can think of that.
Well,
people
we're talking to our Brit on the panel here in Domonique Foxworth.
You're more British than me.
Of course, you know all about these British things. You got the passport. You're British.
No, technically I'm not. We've been through this a number of times. I was born on a military base. I am American. I just born in the UK, but I'm American. I ain't been back. You go there all the time.
Were you pro Brexit or anti Brexit? What was your stance on?
I'm definitely anti Brexit. How dare you? I'm offended that you even asked me the insult.
He was part of the anti-Brexit, players union. Let's move on. Let's move on, guys. You know what time it is? And we need our hands up.
Oh, throw them up.
Hands team.
All right, guys. And now it's time for our Good Hands Moments presented by Allstate.
You're still bad at this. Uncover your face. You got to put it in a way that we can still see your face.
Okay. And now.
There we go.
It's time for our Good Hands Moments presented by Allstate. CJ Stroud is the first player in NFL history to have at least 900 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in his first 3 starts. How do you explain how good CJ Stroud has been for the Texans so far for a team that we did not think was going to be good?
I can't explain it. I don't know. Let's stop pretending like we know what quarterback's going to be good. I have lots of beliefs that this seems to shake my beliefs. So, I don't know. CJ Stroud was not when we were having conversations about who should be the top pick, it didn't seem like anyone gave CJ Stroud a reasonable look. And now he seems clearly to be the best person or the best player or the best quarterback in last year's draft. And normally the way that I explain that away is by pointing to what they are surrounded by. I can't really do that this time, so maybe
we have to take this off the board.
Yeah.
This was on the board as a Domonique Foxworth
truism.
Football maxim that it's about the situation more than the quarterback.
Maybe the situation is better than I thought.
It's not, though. What are you talking about? They're down.
Maybe.
They're down 4 starters on their offensive line.
Maybe.
Right now, Larry Tunsil.
Maybe the backups are better. Maybe
the backups are better. Maybe they got a good coaching staff there. Not out of the question. To be fair, he's the only one of those 3 rookie quarterbacks who played this week because the other 2 guys are hurt. Yeah. So maybe that's why he was able to show off, because he was the only one actually playing. But what I've noticed in watching him play, especially this week when I watched a little bit of what I saw, was just the ball is coming out on time. He looks confident in the pocket. The ball is coming out at the back of his drop. He knows where he's going with the football. Especially preseason week 1, he really was slow. It felt like he was really struggling with the speed of the game. Felt like he was, he's playing the Patriots. He gave through a really bad pick 6 with it. He wasn't really sure what he was seeing. He looked so much more confident now 5 weeks later. And that's without 4/5 of his offensive line. So I think you have to give him a ton of credit, the coaching staff a ton of credit. It feels like he at least knows where he's going with the football. And that, for a young quarterback, is maybe half the battle.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see him playing well, and I think I change my opinion every time or every couple of years when we're looking at quarterback draft prospects about what I think is the most important thing. And maybe it's because the game changes and the things that are more important matters, or maybe it's because none of us know what the hell we're talking about. But I always assume the most important thing for a quarterback is accuracy. Because I feel like you can have a poor read on coverage. As long as you can put the ball where you want to put it, then you're fine, or you'll be okay. You'll be better off, and you can learn these other things. But it's starting to feel like with the modern game, it seems like that decisiveness, whether it's being coached well to get a good pre-snap read, or also just being able to process really quickly. It feels like that's the most important thing right now that I will be looking for, is a quarterback that I know is going to hit that last step in their drop and be decisive with the throw that they made, or a coach that I know can simplify the offense to the point that I don't have a quarterback out there processing, because it seems like the real killer is guys who hold on to the ball too long.
Yeah.
What?
Domonique wants guys to get the ball out, and that is it. They don't think about it. There's no brain power committed to.
I can't deal with you guys and your
what's the point of
exaggerations.
progression?
I'm not saying there's no point of progressions. I'm not saying it's the only thing. I'm saying that when I'm looking at quarterbacks, we got all excited, and then we caught the Josh Allen disease, and everyone was looking for guys with tools, and now I'm moving in a different direction. Give me Brock Purdy.
Bryce Young just went first over C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson.
True,
we do
point.
not have Josh Allen disease in this draft. He is smaller than Justin Tucker.
Trey Lance, Justin Fields, who else?
Richardson, but
yeah, Richardson is the toolsiest guy around. Anyway,
Who looked pretty nice for a game and a quarter before he got hurt. So
all right, I started off by saying we don't know what we're doing. I think that was where we should have ended. We don't know. General managers don't know. Coaches don't know. Nobody knows how to draft quarterbacks.
Okay. So I think we all picked the Jaguars to win the AFC South. How nervous are you about that prediction right now?
I think I might have picked the Colts.
Okay, well, how nervous are you about picking the Colts? Because maybe you were maybe just for picking randomly.
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous either way, whether I pick the Jaguars or the Colts. But I think so. Yeah, you mentioned it at the top of this. The Jaguars are in the AFC South. They're going to have time to figure things out.
so are the Texans and the Colts.
Yeah, but I mean, you actually think what happened with the Texans today, that the Texans are...
No.
Yeah, like, I don't know. To be completely honest with you, I don't know. Who knows how good C.J. Stroud actually is. If this is his baseline, what he's shown us so far, then, and he continues to improve, by the end of the year, he may be the best quarterback in that division. Anthony Richardson gets healthy, he may be the best quarterback in that division. It's wide open. The best team to go with is the team that has given us something to grab onto, and that team is the Colts. Is the Jaguars from last season.
Also, Tank Dell, kind of nice.
Nico
like
Collins, too.
Real short guy.
Kind of nice.
Great.
I still think the Jaguars are going to win the division. What about you, Bill?
I'll go Jags, but I'm less confident. I feel like before I would have been like, okay, the Jags are not just going to win the division, but also be like in that tier with the Bengals and the Bills and the Chiefs. Like they're going to take a step forward. Now it kind of feels like they might win it, but only because look at everything else going on.
You still love Doug Peterson? He's still the man?
Yeah, I still love Doug. You think about how bad the average coach is. If Doug Peterson is an average, like he's like the 12th best coach in football. He's still good.
Just ask. You get mad at me.
Domonique, it's like it's like being the good boyfriend after a terrible boyfriend.
Yes.
Like coming in after Urban Meyer. They're gonna love Doug Peterson.
Oh,
yes.
Wouldn't know.
All right. Last topic for us. Bigger story to you guys. Kirk Cousins blowing another game or Brandon Staley trying to blow another game?
Come on. I can't believe you brought me on here for this. Brandon Staley blowing another game, or almost they went for it on 4th and 1 to win the game? That's blowing it? Come on.
He attempted to.
I mean, the results are the results. They won, so I guess we give them credit. I'm with you.
So that it was a good choice.
Yeah, no, I don't knock the 4th down choice. It would, whether you believe it was a good decision or not, it would have hung over his head, and it would have got him closer to being fired. So that's, I mean, that choice is not the reason why they won. The reason why they won is they got lucky, and your regression team started to regress, and they got some unlucky plays, like a tip ball interception to end the game. Like, that was the deciding factor, which I guess we can applaud your analytical studies prediction, or we can look at the fact that your analytics also told us the teams that would improve this year were the Bears and the Broncos. Numbers.
Wow, I didn't realize we were coming directly at me with these.
Oh, yeah,
I also
coming
said
for
the
your
Browns.
neck.
Browns who look kind of nice so far this year. 2-1. They were incredible.
The
on
Broncos,
Sunday.
though, have not been.
Broncos, we were in trouble. It's the I'm in trouble meme for me with the Broncos. What was the quote from Garrett Bowles after the game?
Oh, yeah.
Left tackle. He said, like, everything I've built over the last 7 years is for nothing.
Yeah,
like, there was some real existential crises happening in that locker room.
You
after
lose
they
by
gave
a
up 70
million.
points.
That's what happens, and then I feel sorry for you. But anyway, Kirk Cousins.
I feel sorry for Brandon Staley.
I mean, Brandon Staley, at some point, they're going to have to move on from him. I think you buy yourself time with this game. If they don't have success, they haven't had success. They haven't seen them get better. The talent seems to be there. It's hard to figure out what the single problem is with that team, which is why you end up moving on from the coach. Even if he makes all the analytically prudent decisions, you can't keep losing.
Though.
Yeah, he doesn't anymore. He came up off of those. Like he started, is that right? I feel like he started with heavy analytics and then all the losing scared him off, which the whole point of analytics is a big sample size. You got to stick with it because sooner or later it's going to come around, right? Am I wrong?
The whole point of analytics is you go for it. And then if you succeed, you were aggressive. And if you don't succeed, then you say, okay, I've learned. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to do that analytic stuff anymore. You can't go back. Like, once you get off the bandwagon, you can't run up behind it and hop back on and pretend you were the analytics guy the whole time. That's what I feel like the confusing part is here. I don't know what Brandon Staley is going to do from drive to drive or game to game because it feels like they don't really know what's going on. They don't really have a strong sense of what they're going to do on fourth down. So I don't think they can, the way the Eagles build their game plans, the way they call plays on third down, knowing, okay, like if we get to fourth and short, we're going to do the tush push because we know we can get that. It feels like the Chargers are a totally different team in terms of their fourth down decisions from drive to drive. So that impacts how they call plays and I wouldn't be confident as a player knowing that my coach is actually making consistent decisions.
Justin Herbert's really good.
Yeah, 40 for 47.
And somehow they still aren't. I feel like
that's the concerning part because it's such a clean game.
We should celebrate them because they did manage to win, but it doesn't feel like they won. No. It feels like they still feel like the same old Chargers who ran up against a team that also has the same
That's
old.
The problem is the Vikings out Chargers the Chargers. This is how the Chargers would lose a game. Of course they would throw an interception in the end zone after getting an opportunity to win the game. Of course they'd be a mess and lose 2 fumbles. Like, the Vikings played exactly the same way the Chargers do and just happened to be better at it than the Chargers.
I got a question for you guys. Brandon Staley is supposed to be a defensive coach. They've spent more cap on defensive players than any team in the league, and it feels like they're winning in spite of him. If I told you guys, this is not going to happen. If I told you guys that they fired Brandon Staley tomorrow after this win, would they be better off or worse off?
Definitely they'd be worse off.
Would you think it was crazy?
I won, so yeah, that'd be crazy.
It'd be kind of weird to fire a coach after a win and to fire a coach on a week that's not a bye with no particular plan. Like it would be absurd. I think your point is like in the long run. I guess the core of this question is, do I think Brandon Staley is a good NFL head coach? The evidence would say no. So like if they fired him, I guess they'd be better off in the long run because it's getting them closer to the right coach, and maybe he'll become a good coach at some point. But it's fair to be critical of the results that he's produced, given that he has a franchise quarterback. Yeah. They got difference makers at all the important positions, from tackle to pass rusher to cornerback, and they thought he was a difference maker when they paid JC to come over there and then made him inactive. But
I wasn't going to bring it up.
And Derwin James. Yeah, he's a Terp, but I would guess that my suggestion is when you have a guy who's proven that he can play at a high level, high enough to get the contract, and then he doesn't play at a high level anymore, there's something else in this equation that's the problem outside of the player, not just the player alone.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
I don't like your smirk. Your smirk suggests that you don't actually believe that I'm right.
Who do you think I learned that smirk from, Dad? Who do you think taught me that smirk? That's the Domonique Foxworth smirk. That's patented. Oh, gosh. I'm going to Venmo you $5 after this podcast because I did your smirk to you. But
it was pretty
you're
cute.
right, though. You're right. This is a defensive-minded coach where his philosophy is the Fangio philosophy. It's, hey, we're going to force you to check the ball down. You're going to get to run the ball against us, but you're not going to hit big plays. And everywhere this week, the stat going around was nobody's given up more big plays since Brandon Staley got to the Chargers than the Los Angeles Chargers. And the Vikings, they were inconsistent on offense in this game, but they hit a bunch of big plays, 20, 30-yarders to Justin Jefferson throughout this game. And I think that's the scary part to me. It's not okay. You're not going to get perfect results out of everybody. You're not going to hit every free agent signing. But Staley's had 2 years now to build the roster into the defense he wants. He's had the ability to add significant players in free agency. He inherited some stars and guys like James and Joey Bosa. Those guys haven't always been there, but this defense doesn't look any better. It looks worse than the defense he inherited. So if that's going to be the case, like if your core competency, if your strength, the reason you're there, it's not because you're a CEO coach, not because you're an analytics wizard, because you're going to make great game management decisions, but because you're a great defensive coach, at some point your defense has to be good, no?
Yeah, I don't think his seat got as cool as it should have, considering that they pulled off a win. It's still probably pretty hot. But on the other side, Kirk Cousins, how are we feeling about him? Or how are the Vikings feeling about Kirk Cousins in his future? Because I know that my man Mike Greenberg is waiting for the Vikings season to be over so that he can convince them to trade Kirk Cousins to the Jets. I don't see it happening, but Kirk Cousins is not going to be a Viking next year, right?
Bill, can I read you a stat before you give your answer, which is the numbers he's on pace for this season, which is 6,092 yards and 51 touchdowns.
Not bad.
Kirk Cousins on pace to be NFL MVP. I'm just imagining the cycle of Jets fans. Like, how long do you think it would take for them to go from "we are so excited Kirk Cousins is here" to "oh, we have Kirk Cousins as our quarterback. We hate this"? Would it be like 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
So
maybe?
Why doesn't the boyfriend rule that you guys said for Doug Peterson apply to Kirk Cousins replacing Zach Wilson?
He's not. He's replacing Aaron Rodgers.
To that guy.
Aaron Rodgers seemed like a great boyfriend to you?
That first week is great. That first week, that second week might even be fine. But week 3, when they're in prime time and they're playing, I don't know, the Bills, and Kirk Cousins throws 3 interceptions and they get blown out, you don't think the fans are going to be like, of course Kirk Cousins sucks. Why didn't we see this coming?
Yep. Then they look down the bench and they see Aaron Rodgers in a boot and Zach Wilson grinning at him. I think they would still figure out a way to talk themselves into Kirk Cousins.
But do you believe the Jets actually have enough of a team around Kirk Cousins to win if they had Kirk Cousins at quarterback? Because like their defense has been good the last 2 weeks, but not as good as it was in week 1. The running game has been non-existent the last couple of weeks. Like they have.
I think the argument is that that taking Aaron Rodgers out of this team kind of had a shock on the team that is having them underperform. If you look at the way that they performed in week 1, that team performed really well outside of the quarterback position. So they haven't lost any players. So this team
they lost the locker room.
So that's my point. My point is that the argument for Kirk Cousins is when you bring him in, you then regain some faith and trust, and the guys revert back to the production that you expect from them.
So there was a shock, but it didn't take place in week 1 when he got hurt. It took a while for the shock to set in.
We're talking about player psychology, which is hard to guess and hard to make up. No, I'm explaining it to you. We're right there. We're in win one for Aaron mode.
Yeah,
that's what's happening right there. We're in win one for Aaron mode. You're riding the emotions, win one for Aaron. Then you have a full week of looking across the locker room at Zach's face, and then you go see the Cowboys, and you try. They fought in that game. Like, it wasn't as bad as the score was early in that game. They were fighting, and then they fell apart. And now they're just like, who knows? And they actually fought in this game. The Patriots, I feel like, lost that game even though they won. I felt worse for them than I did for anyone else.
This is why branding is important. Instead of saying win 1 for Aaron, you got to make it clear, win like 11 for Aaron. You got to set the expectations when it happens. Don't try to save it for later.
Yeah, stay afloat for Kirk is the motto in the locker room now. Stay afloat for Cousins.
Don't shirk for Kirk.
All right. What else we got? Are we good?
That's it.
That was a fun week.
Right.
It was a blowout.
You seem surprised.
Oh, no, I'm not surprised that it was a fun week. The show, it's hard to have a fun show when it's just whooping after whooping and irrelevant game after irrelevant game, but we still had a good time.
Let's not talk about what I'm doing to you on this show, Domonique.
Thank you, Bill Barnwell, for joining us. Thank you, Charlie Kravitz, for your work. And thank you to Allstate for presenting the Domonique Foxworth Show. We love you. We appreciate you. And also, thank you to the good folks at Podville Media. Thank you to our wonderful producers, Megan, Kevin, I hate you, Kevin. Brian, I hate you too, Brian. Serafina, you're a wonderful person. You too, Megan. And we're out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.